We are a country of migrants. We have always been a country of migrants, and now is not the time for us to shun migrants. It's a time for us to adopt them, to come into this country and adopt them as viable citizens and pathways for citizenship there. Again, treating them with dignity and respect. 4 of the top 5 agricultural counties in the state are in the 6th district. Rockingham County being first, Augusta County, Page and Shenandoah counties. Wow. And Rockingham County is the second most productive agricultural county on the entire eastern seaboard.
What have you seen that has not been working right that you're trying to address?
Well, as I look out at the 118th Congress, the current Congress in session, it has been the most unproductive Congress in modern U.S. history.
There's the notion of climate change, right? Where it's been impacting. We've seen now a lot of hurricanes and natural catastrophes that are happening throughout the country, but also throughout the world, drought and so forth. And you have a farm, so you understand where we're coming from with these questions. But when we say leave no one behind, the young generation is concerned about their future, about what the current administration, but also Congress and Senate and everybody in political powers, what they're doing.
And so, we have to be honest and truthful with one another if we're going to address these issues. But one of the areas I'm particularly concerned with is making sure that we don't disenfranchise the youth of this nation and for them to think, I can't be engaged, it's not going to help me. It will help them. And, as a grandfather, I'm very concerned with the conditions that I leave my grandchildren. So I will be working hard in Congress, to make sure that hardworking men and women, elderly that are on fixed incomes, the young that are just starting their lives after their school and things, that it is not so difficult for them to maintain a quality of life.
Thank you guys for tuning in today on RodTalk again. This is another episode where we're welcoming on the studio Ken Mitchell, who is running for Congress in Virginia and 6th District. And we are recording from the Harrisonburg Democratic Headquarters, where we want to dive into his life, his experience, but why he's running for Congress. What are the things that he wants to make? What are the changes that he wants to bring to the community? And what are the priorities that he's also looking at as we are getting closer to the election day on November 5th. So we're asking folks to remember to register to vote. Voter registration ends October 15th, which is next Monday, or whenever you hear this video, it's going to be October 15th. Also, election day is November 5th. But you can also vote early through November 2nd. So remember to register to vote and go vote, make your voice heard in these upcoming elections. And so let's dive into this great conversation with Ken Mitchell. Hi.
Hi. Pleasure to be with you tonight, Rodrigue.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you. We've been excited about speaking with you, specifically on the things that you have to share with the Virginia community, but also the 6th District residents and constituents in terms of priorities, but also getting to know you better, you know, on this platform. And I think my first question will be around who you are. Can you tell us more about your upbringing, how you grew up, what you've done?
I come from pretty humble roots. My great-grandfather was a coal miner in West Virginia. My father was a career military, and he served 34 years in the Army. My brother served 20, and I served 24. So we have 78 years of military service between the three of us. And the real hero in our family was our mother, who, throughout all of her various deployments was there to keep the candle burning in the window. So I have a very humble roots in that perspective. As I said, I'm a 24-year military veteran, served in aviation and in communications. The last 6 years of my military service was in the White House, serving under Herbert Walker Bush, Bush 41, and President Clinton administration. So I have experience in both a Republican and Democratic administration. And that experience led me to see how governance was done and legislative processes were done. So I've kind of kept that tucked back in my mind when I was back serving in that capacity. Upon retirement from the military, I went to work in corporate America, building out broadband services in major metropolitan areas. And that experience in building out broadband, I think, will serve me well in Congress as we look to deploy and expand broadband deployment throughout the rural parts of Virginia here in the 6th District. I left that and started my own business in historic renovations and restorations, working throughout Central Virginia, working on many historic properties, and that led me to employment with Thomas Jefferson Foundation's Monticello, where I was responsible for overseeing the modernization of the foundation there and working on the mansion to ensure that we had a World Heritage Site that was protected. And the last endeavor I did in my civilian endeavors was working at an engineering firm, a civil engineering firm, as a vice president, overseeing water and wastewater projects throughout the 6th District in Woodstock, Stanton, Elkton, Roanoke, Lowmore, and places like that. So I've got a pretty broad business and military background. I'm the proud father of 2 daughters, both educated in the Virginia public school systems, both pediatric nurse practitioners serving the common good every day. And I'm a proud grandfather of 5 beautiful, healthy grandchildren.
Awesome. That sounds really, really is a rich experience from the military to broadband, which I relate to because I used to do VSAT communication systems back in Congo for about 5 years, but also, starting a business. So you've kind of gravitated from different positions,
Right.
including working in the White House. That probably has provided you with a lot of experience in understanding the administration, understanding where change could be made. And I think my question then will be, what have you seen so far as someone that is not yet in the administration, or
Right.
not yet in the in Congress? What have you seen that has not been working right that you're trying to address?
Well, as I look out at the 118th Congress, the current Congress in session, it has been the most unproductive Congress in modern U.S. history. So, it's been based on not really getting legislation passed, but more so obstructing legislation. And I think the people of the 6th District are tired of just seeing the same old partisan bickering that's occurring. And so my intent is to go to Congress and not look to place blame on anyone, but get in there and work in a bipartisan fashion. I'm willing to stand in the middle and support Republican initiatives, independent and Democratic initiatives, as long as they support the common good. And if they do that in a bipartisan fashion, I will support it, but I will not support partisan bickering.
And so far, you have mentioned something I was looking through your website, and you have a slogan or at least a motto that you use that says, "Leave no one behind." What does that mean?
Well, that is a term that is used in the military. And, its intent, and many people see it as we leave no one behind on a battlefield.
Mhm.
And as I look out here, and I thought about that after serving 24 years, that, we should leave no one behind in our society.
Yeah.
So as I look out here in the district where we have 44% of the district is asset limited, income constraint, employed, working multiple jobs. And we cannot leave them behind, whether it is social, whether it is economic, whether it is with education. We simply cannot afford to leave anyone behind. Rural health care, those sorts of things. So it's a motto that I carried with me throughout the military to lift up the spirit of people. And it's one that I bring to the office to say, we're not going to leave anyone behind here. We're going to support and represent everyone.
Yeah, and with that idea, there's the notion of climate change,
Mhm.
right? Where it's been impacting. We've seen now a lot of hurricanes
Right.
and natural catastrophes
Right.
that are happening throughout the country, but also throughout the world, drought and so
Mhm.
forth. And you have a farm, so
Right.
so you understand where we're coming from with these questions. But when we say leave no one behind, the young generation is concerned about
Right.
their future,
Right.
about what the current administration, but also Congress and Senate and everybody in political powers, what they're doing to make sure that they preserve and they protect the next generation, because
Right.
otherwise we're leaving them behind.
Exactly.
And we don't know what to do. Do you have a way that you think we should address the question of trying to preserve their ecosystem, or fight for climate mitigation as much as possible so that the next generation has a place to stay?
That's an excellent question, and it's a very complex question. As we look out, the first thing I would say that, the United States needs to continue to be a leader in climate change and not withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, but be a very bold participant in that. And there is a way, everybody wants to put a cost on green energy and indicating that it's expensive, but there is a tipping point where your investment starts to reap benefits from you. And I don't think we focus on that enough. Yes, we have some initial upfront cost we have to do, but I look at it as an investment and not an expense.
Yeah.
And as we look out here in particular, young people today have a challenge. We see rising cost of homes. We see high cost of childcare. We see groceries that are rising. And as we look out here, and we look at like the Harris Walls platform that addresses housing needs, that are, and we start to see interest rates coming down. We're starting to see inflation come down, due in part to corporate greed, holding prices up. And so, we have to be honest and truthful with one another if we're going to address these issues. But one of the areas I'm particularly concerned with is making sure that we don't disenfranchise the youth of this nation, and for them to think, I can't be engaged, it's not going to help me. It will help them. And, as a grandfather, I'm very concerned with the conditions that I leave my grandchildren. So I will be working hard in Congress, to make sure that hardworking men and women, elderly that are on fixed incomes, the young that are just starting their lives after their school and things, that it is not so difficult for them to maintain a quality of life.
Great. That's amazing. And I'm young, so I always look up to what is going to be done. And I appreciate you touching on housing, because I think that's one of the biggest issues right now in the United States. Not only accessibility, affordability, but also building new homes and homes that will represent the needs of people, but also keeping in mind the environment impact of what that means. But also, you have talked a lot about trying to make a change in this district. Ben Klein is running against you, and I think there's one more person an independent candidate. And so what do you think that you want to do different from Ben Klein?
Well, Ben came into office and he immediately got pulled into the Freedom Caucus to the far right. And there were lines drawn there that if you support the far right, then you have my support, and if you don't, you get very little support. I don't think there's room for that in our elected leaders. You take an oath of office to support and defend a Constitution that represents we the people, and it represents all the people. And so I think with my military experience, having served in a very diverse workforce within the military, I have a much better appreciation and a much better understanding of that diversity. And as we reach out here, when I go to office, I cannot put a preference over a Democrat versus a Republican versus an independent. I have to equally respect each member of this district and make sure that my support for them is not biased because of my political background or what my personal beliefs are. We have to represent all the people. It's for the people, by the people, and all the people.
And with all the people, the Harrisonburg area, just in particular, but also the Shenandoah Valley, has a large population of immigrants.
Yes.
Of refugees or asylees, asylum seekers, and all categories of immigrants, including people that have won the diversity visa lottery. But I think immigration has been one of the key issues in most of the conversations right now and today in the United States when we talk about politics. How do you see yourself supporting those communities?
Well, I think as I look out here, we have temporary protected status folks. We have DACA folks. And, as we look out here, some of the TPS folks have lived here 20 plus years, paid their taxes, paid into Social Security, started businesses, bought homes, have had families, and have been productive contributing members of our society for decades. And we have folks that are DACA that, are born here. And I think that what we need to do is, number one, recognize we can clear some of the immigration backlog by recognizing that TPS should have a path to citizenship and that we should make that expedited. And if we do that, then that lends to dealing with what we have at the southern border. Now, make no mistake, I am for a strong, secure border, but I am also for treating people that have had to escape from climate change and from the terror that is occurring down there in some of the countries in Central America to come up for a better life. I understand that. But, we have to make sure that they come in through a legal means and a legal method. And they are, and that's through asylum. But if we can clear out the TPS backlog and we can clear out the DACA backlog and focus on that. And then we had an immigration plan for the border that was rejected to make it a political issue to run on the Republican side. Well, that makes us a bit insecure at our southern border. And so I'm all for strengthening that border. But I also have seen reports from the Congressional Budget Office that shows that if we had a pathway to integrate migrants into our country, that would add about $7 trillion to our economy. And, it would be businesses that are started and a very positive, for our economy, for our society, for our culture. So we need to quit villainizing everybody there and treat them with dignity and respect and integrate them. We are a country of migrants. We have always been a country of migrants, and now is not the time for us to shun migrants. It's a time for us to adopt them, to come into this country and adopt them as viable citizens and pathways for citizenship there again, treating them with dignity and respect. So I see where bringing migrants in is not a bad thing for us. It is a good thing, but we need to make sure who we let in and seek those citizen paths are what we need as a nation as well.
Yeah, so I think the backlog issue is one of the most serious issues right now in the administration, because asylum seekers are waiting for 7 to 10 years to just get an interview. Many people that would have otherwise get an opportunity to adjust their status have been waiting for a long time. And then some of people are just pushed back because of the last in, first out policies that started in 2018, January. And so I think what we need to do is also invest in the refugee resettlement program in general and provide resources for asylum officers and asylum offices to adjudicate some of these cases so that we can say, hey, we have many people coming, but how do we deal with it? The infrastructure, I don't think it's really functional right now. And I think if you go to Congress, I think that's something that you can think about. How do we fund
Well,
the program?
I think one of the first things we should do is pull that immigration plan out that was rejected, and if we get a Democratic House, put that forward again, and make sure that, and that immigration bill legislation was putting more officers on the border. It was putting the legal capacity of courts and things down closer to where it was happening. And, we need to get our government to start to look at things like our Department of Labor and marrying up where job needs are down at the border and saying, here's where we can do this. There's nothing too big that we in America cannot tackle if we put our minds to it. And as long as we have elected leaders that have principles, value, some common sense, and integrity, we can tackle this. But I don't think villainizing people trying to escape from a very harsh condition and coming to what we see as the beacon of light and freedom is to villainize them. I think we've got to treat them with dignity and respect and work through our immigration system, which has been kinked up under Democratic administrations, Republican administrations for 40 years. And I just think it's time that we need to roll our sleeves up there and make that one of the first priorities we tackle under a Harris-Walz administration.
And what are the other policies that you're looking at as you're going to the House?
It's really going to depend upon what committee I serve on. I'm asking to serve on the Agriculture Committee.
Correct.
So, as you look at Virginia's 6th Congressional District, we produce about 1/3 of Virginia's agriculture, which is $182 billion annual growth, income, if you will. And so I think, when we look at the 6th Congressional District, 4 of the top 5 agricultural counties in the state are in the 6th District. Rockingham County being first, Augusta County, Page and Shenandoah counties.
Wow.
And Rockingham County is the second most productive agricultural county on the entire eastern seaboard. So we've had a rich agricultural history. And I think the best way I can serve the district is to serve on the Agriculture Committee for the district and also serve on the Rural Caucus, and what I'm looking to do there, I feel that the 6th Congressional District in many ways has been left behind. It's been left behind from an education standpoint, from a healthcare, from infrastructure. And I think by having somebody focused in on that will help benefit the district. It's kind of hard to, talk about specific policies right now because I would have to wait to see what committee assignments I got and what policies I would lean into. But I can say just from an overview that as long as the legislation supports the common good, I will support legislation. I will not support partisan legislation. I don't show fealty to a president. I don't show fealty to a party. I put my country above a party, and the people of the 6th district is who I take a knee to.
Great. That's powerful. And because I know right now there's a lot of partisan
Right.
attachment. People are just becoming more partisan than servants for the people that elect them into office. And this is unfortunately the current reality that I'm happy that at least you're trying to look at it a different way. Let's serve the people. Let's put party aside, because at the end of the day, we want to make this place a better place for everybody,
Absolutely.
for all members of the community.
Absolutely.
So what motivates you?
My daughters and my grandchildren are kind of where I get the motivation. And, what am I going to leave them? And in a time right now where we are so divided as a nation, the ability, with my background, both in military and in business, my experience as a father and a grandfather, all of those kind of come together and kind of I have the capability and the capacity, if elected, to do some good for the people. So, it's wanting to leave a world, wanting to make sure that the world that my daughters live in and my grandchildren live in, to make sure that they have more rights than what their great grandmother had. And that is what concerns me, is that, as we look at an onslaught fighting against our rights and freedoms, whether it is a woman's right to choose, whether it is voting rights, whether it is LGBTQ plus rights, climate change, those things, I think as we stand up and defend the rights and freedoms of people, we stand up and defend our democracy. You step on the rights of one group of people, you step on the rights of everyone.
And that's great. Another question that I have is, what is your daily routine like?
That's a good question. I would say about 5 days a week it is on the campaign trail, and usually it's 3 events a day that we have. Wow. And they vary across a 210-mile north to south district. Wow. So at any given point I'm doing some sort of interview, be it print media, social media, television, radio, that sort of thing, attending meet and greets, getting out and meeting people and getting the message spread, fundraisers, to try to fund the campaign. And, I'm proud to say that ours has been a grassroots effort. We've not taken one nickel of corporate money. So it has all been grassroots, and that's where my priority will stand, with grassroots. So it's very busy, but I find that if you're doing it for the right reasons, if you're out here to serve the people, even though it's a long day, it's a very satisfying and very gratifying day. So I have not had a day where I just felt beat down. There's been something throughout the day that has picked me up and said, continue with what you're doing.
Yeah, so we are about 30 days away?
We are 27 days today.
27 days away from election.
Yeah.
And you've been campaigning all over the places, and that is great. And we just hope that everybody will go and vote. Everybody that is eligible to vote will go and vote. And do you have any message for those that haven't registered or haven't voted? They can vote early too.
Yeah, and I particularly want to talk to the young folks for a second. There is no one that has more to lose this election than you do as the young folks of this nation. So I hope if you are voter eligible that you get out and you vote early, because your voice needs to be heard. Your voice deserves to be heard. And it's the one way that you can impact your life directly. And as we look out, I think this is an election cycle where we need to deviate away from whether we're a Republican, an an independent or a Democrat. And I say simply at this point, vote as an American, as your democracy is on the line here. And, go outside. Don't be afraid to vote outside your typical party lines. If you feel that America and our democracy is under threat, get out and vote for those that will defend your democracy and support your democracy, and not those that are looking to implement Project 2025, which is extremely egregious, for any right or freedom of an American. So I just, many Americans have fought and died for the freedoms that we have. And I hope that we get out and respect their sacrifice and get out and vote and have our voices heard.
Great. That is a very great statement. I think I wanted to ask you another question, but that's very powerful. So we are very close to the elections. I think a lot of people are excited about these elections. We have a lot of new Americans that are voting this year and that are really getting excited about voting for the first time. And some of the conversation we've had with some of these new Americans, and they're just like, I'm excited about having a voice. Like, it's powerful to have that voice, and then it becomes more powerful to exercise your rights to vote, and also feel like your voice counts. Because a lot of these many folks that are new Americans come from places where their votes don't matter. And so some of them are reluctant about using that vote because they still feel like probably it doesn't matter. But it really, really, really matters if you can cast your ballot and make your voice heard.
It really, truly does, because you look out here at our Constitution, and it is the first three words to me are the most powerful. We the people. And it is through the collective voice of the people where the power sets. It's not an elected official. It is the collective voice of the people. Yeah. And one voice at a time added together gives you that compounding count that you need for that voice to be heard, and I thought you opened this very powerful in saying, you need to exercise your right, and your right is to get out there and vote, and when you think of protecting rights and freedoms, your right to vote is your most powerful voice in this democracy, and each voice deserves to be heard.
Great. And so this is RodTalk. We've been very excited about bringing to our community screens stories, but also experiences and people that have ideas, have means and ways that they can impact positively or anyhow our communities. And so in this election, we're trying to capture as much as we can and at least learn more from candidates, what they're trying to do, how they're going to impact our lives positively or however they want to impact our lives if elected. And so this feels to be one of the most important things. And so thanks for accepting our invitation, but also being able to share what you want to do in Congress when elected and how that would impact people's lives. And so with that, do you have any other things that you want to tell our viewers?
I would like to take just 1 second to recognize what you are doing with your podcast, what our media is doing to get to get the truth out. So part of a democracy is to have a free and fair press. And I think what you guys are doing there is contributing and supporting and protecting democracy by keeping a free press. So thank you so much with what you're doing there. It makes a difference. It does matter.
Thank you so much. And it's our privilege to have you and get a conversation every single day where we can learn from people like you that are making great impact in our community. So there you got it. This was Ken Mitchell for Virginia, the 6th District, running for Congress. And we've learned about his life story, about his upbringing, but also the things that he wants to address once elected in Congress. He also talked about the youth, about climate change, about immigration, and about housing, as we all care about right now, and so many other things, including agriculture and rural communities. And so stay tuned. Please share, like, and comment, and let us know what you think about this interview and many other interviews that have been in the past and the future. We look forward to coming back to your screen again with the next episode. Thank you.